Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So I thought it is time to finally update our top 10 grind spots that are currently out. And after doing a little bit of testing since Edania came out, some of the things shifted to top spots and some of the lower end ones, you know, kind of got tweaked as well. So yeah, I think before we start, in the next like 2 weeks when they come out with the Edania part 2 grind spots, those are probably going to be the number 1 and 2 just because they require the most AP, and usually that means they're going to give higher silver per hour rewards and everything. But anyway, we'll talk about that when that happens. But as of now, I wanted to talk about the 10 spots that I think are worth grinding for silver. Now, this is a little bit more catered towards the higher upper end to end game players. So like, let's say you're at least, I would say probably around 290 AP and up. Obviously, the higher gear score you have, the more silver you make. But anyway, so with the Edania region out, some of the spots changed, and we're going to talk about it. So, and I guess we'll talk about this in terms of what I think is good and just go down the list. But either way, all the 10 spots I'm going to talk about are definitely worth trying out. So, number 1 being the Orbita Castle. This is the most hardest grind spot in the game with the highest effective AP limit cap. And I honestly think that this spot, it's good, but then in a few weeks, once everyone gets their Jinn crystals or there's more spots that have the crystallized energy, it's going to go down. So as of right now, I think it's good because this huge Edania crystal that gives 45 monster or species damage and monster damage reduction is actually really good. It allows you to basically use this crystal. You can only use one, but it allowed you to basically reach the cap of the other spots and also put on more defensives. Now, I wanted to say that before anyone is like, oh, I can't grind this spot, but I can't get this crystal either, I was able to grind every single spot here without this crystal, or not even like any crystal, in fact. So you can do it. It's just this allows you to play more defensively. So I'll show you what I have. So I have this one for Edania. Basically, this is my setup before, and I was able to reach the cap without it. So what do you do if you don't have this crystal? What I would do is basically take out the HP ones and then add the Void Destructions. If you don't have the Void Destruction, get the Precise one. Those are significantly cheaper and probably at min price on the market. These are essentially the same thing, but plus 2 AP. So one is the budget version, one is the expensive version. So if you don't have this one, what would you do? You can add a Stalwart Fortitude or literally anything else. If you're realistically, if you're grinding in Edania, silver is not so much of a concern for you. Like, you can afford high-end crystals. So basically, this is what I ran in Edania. These are knockdown crystals for Orbita. If you're grinding the Nymphamare Castle or the Aetherion, you would use anti-stun or the stun resist instead. But essentially, this is what I grinded with in Edania spots. This could change in the future, but realistically, you don't need the crystal to do it. And yeah, that's what I had. So with the crystal, this changes up. I basically take off some damage, add some more survivability with HP, and this replaces it. So good to know, right? Now, let's talk about the other things. I actually did not get lucky and get this drop. I grinded out 100 pieces. So that it's about like 7 an hour. It took me roughly 15 hours to do it on, you know, 300% drop rate and everything. The silent fragments, these are good. It's supposed to be like the in-between between Cronstone value of like enhancing your Fallen God and it's like vendor crons versus buying this one. It does the same thing, but it's slightly cheaper, which I think is a good thing. And of course, the crystallized energies is the thing everyone needs to upgrade your crystals. Like the, let me just show you an example. So the one thing I have right now is, let me see, do I have it on? Yeah, this one. You see how my strike crystal says amplified? It basically boosts that stat above it. And so if you are meeting the cap, or even if you aren't, the like special damage is worth a lot more. So like 0.5 critical hit damage is probably worth more than like 1 AP or something, or 2. And then the next things you are probably going to change going in the future, probably going to be like your crystals over here and meeting the higher AP caps, but that just happens over time, right? So yeah, next thing we're going to talk about is another spot that I think is still good, but it's not particularly the best. Where is it? Elvia Orzekea. This spot, it got a lot easier since the AP changes and the whole like stat effective limit. Basically, when it first came out, you basically needed to have full Tet armors, and you ran defensive stuff because the enemies hit really hard. Nowadays, you can get away with grinding this spot with Duo or Tri Fallen God, and as of tomorrow, I guess, whatever next patch is, they're giving away basically a cheaper version of the Tri Fallen God armor. You just get your Tuvala piece to deck, kind of like how you did it with your Black Star, but that gives you a Tri Fallen God, which cool. That's 1 out of your 4 pieces done. So Gem of Voids are actually, still pretty solidly priced. It allows you to get the other crystals. Where is it? Let me just it allows you to get the Void of Destruction upgrade, same with the Akrod upgrade. So yeah, these are actually kind of profitable if you grind a lot. Like over time, it's a lot of silver, but if you're only grinding like 1 hour a day, it's probably a little bit less. But long term, you're making a lot by getting the crystals and then turning it into the thing and then selling it. So with that said, where is it? This spot overall pretty decent. Devo prices are kind of dropping across the board just because the new Edania spots drop everything. So expect this to keep going down, but Gem of the Void still good. Now, one thing that actually got buffed, number 3, would be, where is it? Ash Forest Dehkia 2. This spot is actually really good now. It doesn't really help that the Debo necklaces are dropping even further, but aside from that, everyone still needs the Dehkia artifacts, whether you're an evasion player or DR. This is a very solid spot. Collecting the Dehkia fragments is still something that people do on a regular, just because you can only buy 1 of these at a time or put 1 order, and you can't just buy like 10 at a time or anything. Still, they're still on order. So overall, very solid spot. It's a lot easier to grind now than before, and easy solid, at least 2 bill. The spots I talked about, 2 to 3 bill an hour, very good. Effective limit is going, still pretty high, but I think realistically, you don't need as much DP nowadays or damage reduction, and so you could push your AP a little bit further and still be effective here. So yeah, I think that's good. Dehkia, Ash Forest, I believe all 3 of them are solid, but like realistically, if you were going for the merchant ring piece, you'd probably be grinding either 1 or like the easy one, like this one, base, or Dehkia 2. Like 1 in between is just it's kind of like Oluns, where people either do regular for the treasure item or 2 for the max amount of money. So even if you're like you're not at the spot of like 1500 to be able to do Dehkia 2, but you're higher than 1130, it really just depends on what you want to do. Like I would probably still grind regular Ash if you're going for the treasure, but I don't know. I haven't done 1 in a while. It's either base or 2 is what I see a lot of people doing. All right, next thing we're going to be talking about, number 4, is, where is it? Ulakita, Darkseekers the good old Darkseeker spot is still good, believe it or not. Everyone is going for their telescope piece. It took me about 200 hours to get mine in total. I would say, of all the treasure items, the telescope is actually really nice to have next to, obviously, Rich Merchant Ring, Archaeologist Map, always nice to have. The compass, on the other hand, I got this really just to help other people, because I grinded about 500 hours for the Elton piece back in the day before we had everything, and it's mostly just because I wanted to help people get from point A to B, and I still do that if people ask. But aside from that, telescope, very useful for yourself, and of course you get Origin of Dark Hungers. For all the people who are mad that these don't sell instantly, trust me when I say they do sell. It just takes maybe like a day or something. And I guarantee you, about 99% of players, myself included, you will never have enough fail stacks for all the stuff. Unless you are full like Deck, Sovereign, Edania, Karazad, you still need these. And yeah, so regardless of if you're selling them or using them, this makes Darkseekers a very solid spot across the board. And, you know, it has been for the past like couple years since it's been out. They've tweaked the spot multiple times, but either way, sealed black magic crystals, they're at an all-time high right now simply because people are crafting the new life skill crystals, the new other stuff for like the new region for grinding, PvE. And so overall, everything here is very solid, and Darkseekers just across the board better than, you know, other ones. All right, next thing I want to talk about going down in the list is the Nymphamare Castle. I actually really like this spot more than the other ones because it's like a really easy triangle grind spot. So if you guys have grinded Jade Starlight Forest, it kind of feels like this, honestly. And in terms of like comfort, like this spot, despite being an almost 1700 effective AP limit, it is like actually really chill to grind here. Whereas if you're grinding Orbita, you are on alert at every minute of your grind. I guarantee you. I've seen people with more gear than I am, like people who are almost capped with pen or not pen, like deck sovereigns and everything. They still die here, and you just have to be really alert. Whereas if you're slightly lower and you just want to chill grind, I think Nymphamare Castle is actually really good. The only downside is basically you don't get the Djinn Crystal, which, you know, is a big difference in my opinion. 15 extra AP and 5 monster damage reduction. That's huge in my opinion. But aside from that, you get, like, for the most part, the same things. Like, maybe at a lower drop rate, but this spot is so comfy. The only thing you have to worry about is there's this one mechanic where basically a corruption tower pops up and it puts a debuff on you, right? And it'll basically drain your health over X amount depending on how many corruption stacks you have. So you have to manage that one, but that is like the least concerning mechanic. Whereas Orbita, you have to know your colors, you have to not stand in red, you have to like maneuver a lot back and forth. So basically, this one is really chill, and I personally like this spot the most of the current 3 Edania grind spots. Let's just talk about Aetherion Castle right now. This spot kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. You can watch the video of it that I had too. I've had a video for all 3 spots. You can watch them if you want. This spot is gonna give someone a seizure. It doesn't even have any of the good like loot that you want from the other ones, and yeah, this one's just straight up not even good. I wish if you got this, let's say you can combine, you know, this like 2 of them or maybe 3 of them into the upgraded version, and then I think it would make it a little bit more worthwhile to do. But as of right now, if you're 1600, like around that spot, you might as well just try to push yourself up into this spot to grind Nymphamare. Otherwise, this spot is more work for the not really good amount of rewards, a silver an hour. But I just wanted to talk about that right now. And yeah, so yeah, this spot is not worth it. It's fun to try if you're a knowledge collector, you do it. But realistically, I've just been grinding Orbita, and that's about it. Next thing I want to talk about is down number 5, by the way, is Golden Pig Cave. This spot is still good. Obviously, it's a time-limited one. It opens like twice a day. But I think this spot is still good simply because Essence of Dawn is still relevant for everyone upgrading their Karazad gear. But also next week, they're going to be creating or coming out with the new crystals. You know these like Jinn crystals that you put down here? They're doing this for life skill. So it's probably going to be like green crystals that you put down here. And they require Essence of Dawn. So yeah, for all of you life skillers out there, start preparing because you're going to need a lot of these for your next 6 crystal slots that's coming out tomorrow in the next patch. So aside from that, Golden Pig Cave is still very solid. Works as intended. And for all of you who get like the rare items from the Golden Pig, where you know how it gives you like a 10 mil bar or a Tet accessory, yeah, that still like adds into the value, even if it's not necessarily great. But yeah, still a very solid spot if you are going for silver. You know what's funny? This spot, 1540 AP, it makes so much more silver than Aetherion Castle. Not even close. This spot needs to be buffed, and like it's just not good. So if you are within that range, try Golden Pig Cave. Even the non-fortunate one, I believe, is still better. So either way, 1500, 1600, grind Golden Pig. No matter which one, obviously fortunate is better, but you know it's better than Aetherion Castle. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, number 6, is Oluns. Oluns is going to be a popular spot basically forever, simply because the hardest rich merchant ring piece is here. Whether you're grinding base Oluns, like the default original one, or Dehkia 2, this spot, very good. It's one of the few group spots in the game that allows you to actually play with your guildies and friends together. So I really hope that Perlibus adds more group spots into the game. Like, I would love to play or just grind with my friends, guildies, and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's good. Obviously, Debo earrings are the most valuable of the 4 Deberekas. You get the artifacts. Those are still maxed at 10 billion. And of course, you want the Dehkia fragments and more of all of the rest of the things, which I think is good. So yeah, I think that's awesome. While we're at it, Crypt of Resting Thoughts. I think this place is still solid. It may not be as valuable with the Debo price, but if you're going for the Orzekea, the armor piece, and these is probably are still the highest drop rate for both of them. So definitely worth mentioning. I wouldn't say it's in the top 10, but I think it's like an honorary mention just because this one, you know, is still low-key kind of good and get a lot of Capris and stuff from it. I think of a lot of the spots, if you're going for Debo belts in particular, this one probably has the highest drop rate. So keep that in mind. The next thing I want to talk about, number 8, I believe, is Tungrad Ruins. So a lot of people are saying this spot is either bad or good. In my testing, I think it's still good, especially if you don't use Agris. And the reason why is because, one, Compass, kind of like, you know how we were talking about Darkseekers earlier, how people are going for origins and everything. You get the other piece of the telescope from here and everything else. If you need Spectre's energies for some reason, this spot kind of drops them like candy. I don't know the drop rate, but back when I was doing my like 100 hours to get my one telescope piece, I got like probably about 100, 150 of them, somewhere around there. And then like the truth is these aren't really worth anything aside from creating a black star, but unless you are enhancing for profit, these are just 30 mil. So if you have a lot of them and you don't plan on enhancing black stars, I would honestly just vendor them, because I've been holding them for a while thinking they might actually do something with it. Like, here, put this as a material to craft something else. Nope, they've never done anything. So kind of just vendored them a while back. But you get a lot of them here for the off chance you do need it. And I would say this spot is a little bit under 2 billion an hour. Maybe from my video post patch, it was about 1.7 billion, no Agris. And, you know, the spot is the same as the other, and I think it's fine. All right, so 2 more. Number 9, I would say, is Dehkia Cadry. I think this spot is actually kind of low-key good because it's a very easy spot. It gives a decent amount while we're going into the 1300, 1400 AP limit. And this spot, obviously, you know, you're mostly just grinding for black magic crystals. Of course, the Debos that come here, the rings and the limbo seals. And, you know, if you need, mem frags and everything, these are pretty decent, actually. So, yeah, if you're, I guess I would say around 1400 is probably around, I think you could do this under 330. Like, ever since they made the change with, like, after 310 AP, you get the +8, right? I think you could be in here at like 320-ish. And then if you have, you know, human damage, species and everything, that boosted even further. But either way, I think this is overall better than Dehkia Crescents, in my opinion. Also, Cadry is still in the area where you don't have to go mid-desert for it. So that's like, you know, distance is always nicer. But I would recommend Cadry over Crescents. That's just me. The mechanics are a lot easier too, and it's more stationary as a fight. That means you're like staying within a circle range, where instead of like Crescents, you're moving around to find a debuff totem or whatever it is. And yeah, so I would recommend Cadry. Still good. I know this looks low for the scrolls right now, which could be good if you're buying them, but also mem frags always go up and down. So I know if people are panicking now, guarantee you everyone will need mem frags basically forever. So that's just something you never have to worry about. It'll go up in price again. It'll drop in price again. So it's just, when are you collecting them? Just save it or something. All right, the next and final spot I want to talk about for this video is the good old Dehkia Thornwood. I think this spot is still actually really good because, you know, even if Ominous aren't, you know, as they used to be, 300 mil each, the spot is actually still pretty solid in my opinion. You can also go for everything else. The Capris rate, ever since the change, I believe you get, like, what is it? You get more loot, slightly less Capris. So it kind of equals out, but also the Venomous Nightfangs, you get a lot of them here. And then even if Ominous prices aren't at, or like the Ominous silver value isn't as high as before, the drop rate is higher than, you know, other places with accessories. So you know how like if you grind any other spot, you might get like maybe 1 or 2 accessories an hour. This spot, you kind of get like 2 an hour minimum. The highest I've ever gotten was probably like 9 in 1 hour, which is kind of wild. My average is probably 4 an hour. So either way, if you need Capra Stones, if you're going into Sovereign at that stage in the game, it's still pretty solid. They increased, you know, the drop rates of a lot of other stuff as well. And of course, Venomous Nightfangs, if you guys run them, always solid. So that's been my top 10 grind spots so far. There's probably some that are going to get changed in the future, of course, but yeah, that's where I would grind. And obviously if you're trying to grind like Highlands and stuff, still solid, but I tried to pick these spots based on the loot as well as, you know, trash loot. So like the item drops you can get along with accessories and everything, that will make it worthwhile and not just kind of tedious to grind. So yeah, that's about it. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Where do you grind? I'm curious to know. And what have you been doing? ever since Edania, I've been just doing Orbita and Nymphamare Castle, but I can also grind there. And once again, if you are getting to the spot where you're thinking about, oh, I should grind it, if you can do Nymphamare Castle, I think that is very competitive. Like, realistically, the silver an hour, like from trash and the other things, kind of the same. The only big difference is the bond crystal versus Jin. Obviously, if you want the best in slot, the Jin is the better one. But yeah, everything else is, I think, even according to Garmoth, the rates aren't that much different. Like, obviously, Orbita is going to have higher drop rates for the other items, and this one's lower, but it's not that much lower. So yeah, I think this spot is very chill, and the rate is not as bad. Whereas Orbita is, you are on alert every minute, especially at nighttime. I think in the about 20 hours I've grinded here so far in Orbita, I have about 5 deaths, and 3 of them are at nighttime. Just stood in bad, got 100 to 0'd. But aside from that, Nymphamare, you probably will not have any issues unless you are literally not watching the corruption mechanic and then you're just taking a fat dot. Aside from that, yeah, that's about it. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later. Peace!